Welcome back. We are on another Wednesday, 8 p.m. for the Relationship Gumbo Podcast live show. And I'm glad you're here. I appreciate your time. Replay viewers, I love y'all too. Tonight, we're going to talk about being alone versus being lonely. So stay tuned. We're going to get into it in just a second. What I want to do first, I want to ask you to share and invite this with your friends and family. And welcome them into my universe, right? I got some things to share and some things that are pertinent to almost everyone in their relationships, dating, marriage, all that good stuff, right? Somewhere you're going to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 30 seconds to make sure everything is propagating everywhere it's supposed to go. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. I'm simulcasting to all three, so I want to make sure everything came up. So give me 30 seconds, and I will be right back.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
All right. I think we're ready to go. We're going to get this in, and I'm not going to keep you long, but make sure you stay to the end. I got a surprise for you. I got a brand new website, matter of fact, let me, we're about to get into the podcast portion of this. Let me show you where to go just in case you've never listened to the podcast. Right now, you're looking at the live version, but we also have the audio version. So stay tuned. Here we go. So you can go to any platform that has podcasts, and I'm there. Just search for Relationship Gumbo, and I'll pop up, and you can listen to the audio in your car and in anywhere you want to listen to it, even on Alexa, right? So you can do that. Second thing is we're launching tomorrow two things. We're launching a website, and we're launching the Relationship Gumbo apparel. So if you go to relationshipgumbo.net, Relationship Gumbo apparel is there. I just created a few new t-shirts today. Those are the three that I just created today. So all of that stuff is available, but we're going to talk about that on the back end. I'm going to give you a tour of the new website and everything. So make sure you stay to the end. So we're going to get into it. The way this goes, if you haven't been here before, what we do is we are doing a live podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for 3 seconds. Then I'm going to start the podcast. When the podcast is over, I'm going to pause for another 3 seconds, and then we can talk freely. If you have questions or comments throughout the show, I may use those comments if they're pertinent to the topic, but if not, we can talk at the end. So we're going to get started right now. I'm not going to make you wait any longer. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derrick Jones, and I am your host. I'm a certified life coach, a strategist, an engineer, and a mental health advocate. And today, we're going to talk about being alone versus being lonely. And those are two things that some people get confused sometimes because they think they're the same thing. So we're going to talk about those two things, and we're going to talk about how it affects your life, how it affects some of our psyche and our feelings and our emotions. And we don't even know what to call it or what it is or how to even get out of that rut. So I have 4 different topics I'm going to cover tonight. And then we're going to get out of here, right? We're going to get it in and get it out. So first thing we got to do is we got to define the difference. Now, when you say someone that's alone, that just means you're by yourself. You know, you're in a space where there's nobody but you. You're just alone, right? And lonely is an emotion. It's what you feel. You feel like you need somebody else to be with you. So it's an emotion. And sometimes that emotion can lead you to making some real ugly decisions, some decisions you probably wouldn't have made if you wasn't feeling lonely. I'm emphasizing the word feeling. If you wasn't feeling lonely, there's sometimes, like for an example, the feeling of being lonely might make you go talk to somebody or sleep with somebody that you probably would have never even thought to be around, but you're so lonely that you felt like you needed to fulfill that need. Being alone doesn't attach feelings, right? You can be by yourself, do you, and you don't have to worry about that pressure of feeling lonely. And so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk about just 4 different ways that you can be alone without having to feel the because feeling lonely is a human emotion, right? But without feeling that gut-wrenching like loneliness where you feel like you about to, die basically, like and it's also the pathway to things like depression, right? And we want to make sure that we stay on the even keel, because when we're talking about dating and relationships, you want to make sure that your mind is clear so you can make better decisions going forward, right? You don't want to keep repeating the same cycle that's traumatized you for most of your life. You want to try to make better decisions. So being alone, these are 4 things that I've identified where being alone doesn't have to lead to loneliness, even though some people think they're the same thing. So the first, number 1, is it's not permanent. Being alone isn't permanent. And even if you're feeling lonely, it's not permanent. You have the power to change it. And you have the power to change it by putting yourself in a situation where, you want to try to find things to do to fill that time, right? And we'll talk about that in depth a little bit, on number 4, I believe. But you want to make sure that you are happy within yourself. And on this show, we always talk about self-love, loving you more than the loneliness, right? And when you figure out things about yourself, and you got to think about, what can I do while I'm alone to distract me from feeling lonely? Because lonely is a sad place for a lot of us. And matter of fact, I'll give you a real life Derek situation. Many, many moons ago, I was dating this young lady when I was in college. Well, I was in college. She was in college, but it was 2 different colleges, right? So I visited her. We were dating. We were quote unquote boyfriend and girlfriend. And one day I had to go to work or something, and she didn't have classes that day, right? So while she didn't have classes that day, she felt lonely. So she thought that the only way to feel this loneliness was with another person. And she went and saw that other person. I found out about it. And this is what she told me. I had a lot of idle time on my hands, and I was lonely, and I didn't know what else to do. Lonely makes people do stupid things. That's a whole bunch of stuff around that. But I was just like, huh? That was it. That's the best you could do? So think about that lonely thing. It could be a pit stop for you, but you don't want to stay there. You don't want to move in and pay the mortgage on that, right? So it's not permanent. You can change it. You have the power to change it. But in order for you to change how you feel, first you have to change you and your view of the world around you. So that leads into number 2. Know your triggers. Know what triggers you to feel lonely. For a lot of people, the number 1 reason for feeling lonely is you're bored, right? Another trigger for you to feel lonely for some people is, as soon as you break up with a person, you feel like you got to replace them immediately because you're going to be lonely, because you're afraid of being alone in your own space. It's a lot of people right now, while we're in this quarantine, that are alone. And that alone is starting to trickle into the lonely space, in the desperation space, right? Lonely and desperate. Sometimes they live in the same house. You got to watch that, because desperate will get you in trouble, right? So be mindful, be aware of your surroundings, and find a happy place within yourself so that where you are being alone isn't so horrible because it's not permanent. Back to number one, right? It's not permanent. You can change it. Number three, here's a big one for a lot of you guys. Social media. If you're alone and you're beholden to the things you see on social media, it could put you real quick into a lonely place because you get to see everybody else booed up, relationship goals, going on vacations, and you sitting at home by yourself like, damn it, I wish I had somebody like that. I wish I was them. And sometimes that makes you make some knee-jerk decisions that you shouldn't make. So you got to think, how happy am I with me that I feel the urge to be in someone else's shoes? Because as we know, that stuff that you see online ain't always true. You might not want to be them. You got to find that internal happiness so you don't have to worry about the desire and the need to be someone else. And you got to look at those triggers. It's just like anything else dealing with mental health. Once you find the triggers and identify it, then you can start on a course of action of correcting the behavior. So you got to think, why do I feel like this? It's a lot of people out here, and I know you guys know a lot of them, that can't be by themselves for more than like a week. They got to fill those shoes because they don't want the emotional feeling of lonely. And sometimes that loneliness doesn't even come from a present situation. Sometimes it's your past. It's the ghost of the past. I don't want to ever be in the lonely place that I used to be 10 years ago. So I have to fulfill that now because I already know that feels horrible to me. Right? That means you have some soul searching to do within yourself that you feel compelled that you have to. I didn't say want to, that you have to fill that space today. Right? So number 4 is we're going to talk about, what do you do to counteract the loneliness, to counteract the feeling that when you're alone, and how it can not lead into the lonely place, that dangerous emotional place that we call loneliness. You got to start looking at your calendar. You got to kind of start looking at your days, social calendar, put some things in there, right? We have this beautiful, amazing thing now called the internet and Google and YouTube. And you can search for things to kind of in areas to kind of put yourself in, right? It's advertisements for free stuff and stuff you can do where you can meet people and you can go out and have your own fun, right? It's nothing wrong with being with yourself, right? A lot of people are finding out whether they built to be by themselves or not right now. A lot of people are not. It's time for you to get the gut check yourself. You can fill that social calendar. You can find some new hobbies. You can find some things to occupy yourself, start a business, do something to occupy that space so that if you know about yourself that you need that space filled, fill it with something else other than a warm body, right? And if you do fill it with a warm body, at least do some vetting first. Because I know a lot of people don't really give a damn about vetting. They just want the space filled. Stop it. So I'm not here to pass judgment on anyone, but you gotta look at your behavior, right? This is a show about solutions. It's about really digging deep into how you feel about things. And once you can identify the feeling, then we can start working on it. If you don't even identify the feeling because things are just happening and you haven't even really like sat down to think about it, it's no use of you even thinking about trying to progress, right? Some people will tell you, you jumped over the fence and you cut your leg. Let's put a Band-Aid on it. How did it feel? It hurt. Well, if you don't want to get hurt again and feel the pain, then be more careful. Some people will put the Band-Aid on it and go do the same thing again and get hurt again. You got to identify that. So, a second. So, on this portion of the show, because I told you we wasn't going to be long on this part, because I want to spend some time showing you guys all of the little things I got to offer. Just really take a hard look at you. This life lesson, though, right? A lot of us don't even figure it out until later on in life, right? A life lesson, whether it's this in this topic, being alone versus lonely, or anything else in your life. Be self-aware. Become self-aware of who you are. A lot of us don't know who we are. Take time to get to know you. Once you know you and you fall in love with yourself, all that other stuff won't bother you. But when it's in the pit of your stomach and those emotions are taking over you and you can't even think straight, that's a red flag for you to do some soul searching. If you cannot be this is the quarantine time. If you can't be by yourself for 24 hours, you have a problem. And I'm passing judgment on that one. You have a problem if you can't be by yourself for 24 hours without going crazy. So, and I know there's some people out there that's like that. You got to learn how to love you enough to be okay being in your own space. Read a book, watch Netflix or something. 24 hours, stop it. You got some other things that you need to work on. I didn't say 2 months. I said 24 hours. Okay. So we are going to stop the podcast portion of this. And then I'm going to holler at my folks that's on the live. And then we're going to get out of here. So if you are listening to the audio version, I thank you for coming. I appreciate you. And make sure you go to www.relationshipgumbo.net and check out all the goodies I got there. It's a brand new website, brand new everything. So check it out as soon as you can. And I will talk to you guys next week. Have a great day. All right, podcast portion is over. I see some folks in the comments. Whether you're here or not, Sexy Lexi 8786 from from YouTube. Cool, YouTube viewers. In my bag from Periscope, Latasha Carpenter shared, Rain Factor. I don't want to mess up that name, so I'm not going to say that last, the Eclio. Thank you for coming. And yeah, so this is what we're going to do, right? I got a new website. I got new merch. And I'm going to show you guys a little window into that. I'm going to launch it tomorrow, but since you guys are here, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So stand by. So here's the new website. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears and brain power went into this, but I wanted to make it very user-friendly for you guys who, when you have your mobile device versus the desktop. I wanted to make sure that everything functioned for no matter what your tech savvy is. So when you go, hold on one second. So you go down, you define what Relationship Gumbo is, and then you have these images, right? Because I am a life coach. So there's a life coaching image, and this will make sense when I'm finished. There's an image for the actual podcast. There's an image for the live version of the podcast. And then you also have an image for the apparel. But this is what I did. It looks cute on the desktop. But when you go on mobile, those images are actually buttons. So you can click on them and it'll take you to where you need to go. So you don't have to worry about these tiny little links. Everything at the top of it says click an image below to go to your appropriate page. I went up and down, upside down to make sure that it makes sense to anybody who's on, who comes on. So then you go to the next tab and it's the About page. And I'm just giving you guys a little tour. And the About page just tells you a little bit about me, right? We're going to grow right past that. The next tab, it says coaching. And this is how you get my life coaching services. I make it really easy. I don't have a lot of like crazy verbiage. I just tell you, the services I have. And then the images are very large because they're buttons. Get it? I'm making sure you guys have something easy to interact with. So I have what I call a free chemistry call. That call is just for you to talk to me for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops about what you looking for. What are you looking for? What kind of services do you need? And am I the right person? Are my services right for you? Because we don't want to waste your time or your money. So we're going to give you a little free call just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I also do targeted relationship coaching. So some people don't want a life coach. They just want to know how not to date the wrong person again. Well, I got a targeted service for you, right? The cost goes down a little bit because you're only targeting one thing versus your whole life. So I wanted to make this thing really easy for you guys. Remember, each of these images is a button. So I also have something I call Ladies Night In. You want to get 5 of your friends, 10 of your friends, and get on like a webinar, and we can just go. You can ask questions. I can, depending on what the topics we want to cover, and we can actually do that in a setting where you're not by yourself, because some people don't want to, get the answers alone. They want to be around their friends. They want to kind of, be around company that they trust. So I'm making way for that as well. And then I also offer monthly life coaching packages, because most people who need a life coach won't just get it in one session. So you click on that, it'll send you to a place where you actually can schedule the actual the chemistry call. Because no matter what service I have, you got to go through the chemistry call first, because I want to make sure that we're a good match. That's why I call it chemistry. The next tab is the podcast tab. So this is what I also did for you guys. So this page lets you know that their podcast exists. If you want to get to it on Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere you want to listen to a podcast, but it also doubles as a podcast player. So let's say you're like, I don't understand this Apple podcast spot. I don't know how to get, I don't have an account there. I don't know what to do. You can go on this page and click on these and listen to the podcast directly from the actual website, and you don't even have to go anywhere else. So I make it very easy for you. The next one is the live show, which you're on right now. In the live show, I didn't click it. Okay. The live show is every Wednesday at I put the wrong time. It's 8 p.m., not 9 p.m. I got to change that. And you actually have all of the old episodes in one place, so you don't have to hunt for them. And there's a link down here that says next, and you can just keep going and listen to all of them. So you can almost like binge it, right? Like if you're running out of Netflix shows, you can go ahead and get your binge on there. The next thing, I worked really hard on this one. It's the online store. And it's all integrated into the same website. If you go there between now and I believe I said it's Cinco de Mayo through May 5th, you get 15% off your purchase. Now the shipping, of course, is going to be it's probably not going to get to you for like 2 weeks because of, coronavirus, but it's there. So what it does for you is it gives you don't have to go hunt and peck for stuff. Everything is there. So like one of the shirts that I made today, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I'm not used to sharing screens. Will it let me zoom this? It says relationship, big goals, small circle. So I have little, catchy phrases. It's all to just kind of get you in a positive spirit and a positive mind. And, that's the site in a nutshell. You have the connect page there, but that just lets you know how to find me on social media. And, it's cool. So make sure you check that out. Relationshipgumbo.net. It's all kind of good stuff there. And in the next few weeks, I got some more stuff I'm doing. I'm doing a lot. Like in the back, I'm doing a lot of stuff to make sure that I bring you guys value, because I know that ahead of us, all of us, there are obstacles that are going to come in the next 6 months, in the next year, especially when it's talking about your relationships, your marriage, your dating, your family life. And I want to be able to add in some things so that when you get to those obstacles, you'll know to turn left or right. That's my job, is to let you see that stuff that's coming on your path before it gets there, so you don't have to make those mistakes. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys for coming on and checking me out. And I will be here next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And just come back every week. And in the meantime, you can go binge. By the time I upload this one, I think I'm going to have 31 episodes. So you got a lot of stuff to binge. So go check that out. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship